A government shutdown occurs when Congress has not completed its budget homework on time. Each year, Congress has to pass a series of 12 appropriations bills to fund a series of agencies, programs, and activities across the federal government. When it cannot do that, however, by September 30th, Article 1 of the Constitution and the Anti-Deficiency Act dictate that both federal agencies are prohibited for spending taxpayer dollars that they don't have to fund those services. And so, in that event, that is when government agencies are instructed to shut down. We have seen throughout over the past months that the Trump administration has utilized some of the executive powers afforded to it through the Impoundment Control Act of 1974, and principally the ability for the administration to request of Congress the revision or rescission of a previously appropriated congressional funding to meet their new policy goals and aims. This has caused some heartburn among congressional leaders across the aisle because it can potentially create some strain to the congressional powers that provides Congress the power of the purse.
Is there going to be a government shutdown?
Could be, yeah, because the Democrats are crazed. They don't know what they're doing.
The Republicans have put on the table a short-term continuing resolution through November 21st. That continuing resolution is really just a bill that would fund the government at last year's levels and provide additional negotiating time until that date. Whereas, and that's been passed by the House and is now with the Senate when they return on Monday. But what Democrats would also like to see is that this year, there are enhanced premium tax credits available through the Affordable Care Act that will expire on December 31st, which will cause hardship for millions of Americans who access their health insurance through the exchanges.
We're prepared when we get back to have a vote on a bill already passed by the House, be ready to be signed by the President. All it takes is a handful of Democrats to join the Republicans in keeping the government open and funded.
The Republicans are following Donald Trump's orders to the letter. Stonewall, scapegoat, shirk responsibility. They're doing exactly what Trump told them to do. And then they skip town. No plans, no talks, no urgency. And the House adjourned till October 1st. If there ever is a sign that the Republicans wanted a shutdown, that's it.
The most important kind of indicator of the economic and fiscal costs of a shutdown is the duration of a shutdown. So, if we were to see a shutdown last a day or a couple of days, I don't think that this would cause significant economic harm. But when we had the 35-day shutdown in December in 2018 to January 2019, we saw $3 billion in lost economic growth that we could not recover. And that, really indicates just the economic pain that these can cause over political disagreements.
We'll continue to talk to the Democrats, but I think you could very well end up with a closed country for a period of time. And we'll take care of the military, we'll take care of Social Security, we'll take care of the things that we have to take care of. A lot of the things that Democrats fight for, which in many cases aren't very good things, will not be able to be paid.
In previous shutdowns, we have seen disruptions to farm loans, rural development programs, some of those veteran assistance training and support programs, even rental assistance for low-income Americans has been impacted. We've seen the closure of national parks, which has impacted tourism across the country, and of course that has a large indirect effect on local economies.
We are here to say that promises made must be promises kept, and in our institutions and democracy, because we still believe they are.
We've also seen many workers have to show up without pay. This is your TSA officers, the FAA, who ensures that flight safety remains safe and continues. Of course, our military servicemen and women. But it's important to note that when it comes to many of these positions, they're required to show up without getting paid. The indirect effects that we see on the economy from individuals not commuting, not using their local transportation, not dining out or grabbing lunch out, we really do see those ripple effects exponentially increase as the shutdown prolongs. And those are some of the economic costs that we can't get back if we were to see a shutdown that could last weeks. Another change this year is that we have just seen the federal workforce, undergo significant overhaul. And these contingency plans are important to reflect the scale and the scope of those changes. We've seen workforces, for example, shrink in size. We know that there are several thousand employees who remain on the federal payroll through the end of this fiscal year on September 30th, but then come October 1st, those deferred resignation programs that were offered by the administration will go into effect. And so that's why we can't really rely on some of these older plans, because we don't yet have a sense of what the current size of the federal workforce even looks like today. The Office of Management and Budget, as recently as midweek last week, provided some additional guidance to agencies as they consider plans for a lapse in appropriations. And they've asked agencies to consider where they can reduce their staffing sizes, permanently, if we do shut down. That's new guidance. We haven't seen that come out of OMB in recent times. The real only paths forward are that they come to some sort of resolution on keeping the government funded on a short-term basis. So, passing some sort of resolution that keeps the government funded at this year's levels into next year for a period of, they can pass this for days, weeks, months. Even this year, we saw that passed, to fund the government through the remainder of the fiscal year. Or they could, pass this short-term resolution and get some public buy-in or a handshake that could require that could allow for some additional negotiations over the next few weeks. So, really some agreement that will help them continue the conversations in that time frame where they bought themselves some additional time. We should be the face of what a modern democracy looks like. And when we routinely can't get our budget homework on time because of political differences that, appear insurmountable, but I think when you ask the average American, certainly shouldn't be. And that is a challenge. I mean, it weakens our standing, and it could call it. My concern is that it could call into question, our worthiness as an ally, as a creditor, as a partner, and certainly as a leader in the global financial system.